Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Tuesday the 9th of December. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. I do apologize about my voice. I have a cold that is also affecting my throat. So that's why I sound like I do. Also have to say that there might not be an update tomorrow as I will be traveling, but I will try to do it when I have a few minutes to do it. All right, let's get cracking here. Yesterday in the US market, Nvidia was one of the better performing ones in the US market that actually ended a tad lower. There was some semiconductors that were doing good and others that were a little bit under pressure. But Nvidia, 3.7% higher. Nevertheless, still below the 55 moving average, still below the cloud here. And also still a little bit depressed. We are in a bearish trend. However, it seems to be bouncing here. Also, RSI still positive sentiment, never closed below 40 threshold. So if it slowly can crawl back above 60 threshold, well, then it maybe could establish or re-establish a bullish trend, especially if it starts crawling back above the cloud area. And it will be confirmed if back above 196. On the overall index, the Nasdaq 100 closed about 0.25% lower, opened higher, but couldn't hold on through the session. RSI rejected here at 60 threshold, and the index itself closed below the support resistance here at 25,663. So we are still a bit cautious despite the fact that we are actually in bullish territory. So let's see here the next couple of days. Can it take out these spikes here from yesterday and from the day before from Friday, or will we have a correction down to around 25,222, maybe even down to the 55 moving average? So that will be key to watch in the next few days. Pre-market basically unchanged. S&P 500 yesterday also tried to get above the resistance there. It did get above, but never stayed above. Didn't do that on Friday either. And also, as we can see, RSI rejected their 60 threshold for now. So we are still in negative sentiment. So I'm cautious, optimistic about the rest of the year. But if it takes out the spike up there and closes above on the peak there from Friday, then new all-time highs above 7,000 could be seen before year end. And we are still slightly positive, but I need this confirmation here for the RSI to close above 60 threshold. Pre-market with the future here is a bit unchanged. The Russell 2000 also a little bit to the negative side, but it is actually in a positive sentiment. So the small cap seems a little bit stronger at the moment. In Asian session, the Hang Seng got beaten a little bit this morning and is resuming its bearish trend. We have the RSI still negative sentiment after closing below 40 threshold. We could see Hang Seng down to 25,145, possibly lower this time, maybe down to around 24,475 even, where we also have the 200 moving average coming up. So that would be key. It needs to close above 26,264, and that can be a bit of a struggle since we are below the cloud, we are below the falling moving average. Nikkei is bouncing there or crawling higher. If it takes out the peak there from the 4th of December, well, then I think we'll see a push up towards the previous peaks here, just around 52,695. Positive sentiment, despite the fact there's some divergence, is indicating that is the way we could see Nikkei. So quite interesting that Nikkei and Hang Seng is very different there. If RSI get back to above 60 threshold, well, then it is confirming the bullish trend. EuroStoxx50 that got rejected there at the 786 retracement there at 5,745. Yesterday a little bit bounce, but not really much to say. RSI still positive sentiment, but I want to be back above 60 threshold to further confirm upside. So maybe we should see a little bit lower today. Pre-market basically unchanged, so keep an eye on it. What it can do, again, if it takes out the 5th of December peak, then I think we'll see it pushing higher. DAX index, hovering around the lower part of the cloud and in the cloud. RSI is still negative after being below 40 threshold. It needs to close back above 60, and then it will have confirmed bullish trend. And look at this 55 moving average turning around here, supporting that we could see the DAX index pushing higher. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that actually. Pre-market, we are just up a tad here, so maybe it will have a go at it today, next few days, possibly. Depending also how will things develop in US on the US markets. Euro dollar can't really make up its mind what it wants to do. I mean, we do have RSI closing above 60 threshold, so it is in a positive sentiment. And what we can also do here, we can draw a trend line. This is what you can do. You can draw trend lines on the indicators, many of them, especially the RSI, just as well on the index. But we have established a bullish trend actually with this higher than here, this low higher than here. So we actually established a bullish trend. It's a little bit fragile though, but there is potential up to around 117.30. However, if it takes out 115.55 or 115.50, well, then we could see a downtrend being established again. Sterling dollar rejected there at the 786 retracement, so now it's a little bit in the limbo here, but positive sentiment indicate that we could see high levels, but it needs to take out the peak of the 4th of December at 133.85. If it does that, well, then there's room up to around 135 area here. Otherwise, maybe we'll have a little bit of a setback. We have the moving average being they are declining here, so we could have a little bit of a setback, but there is positive vibes. We have higher high, higher low, higher high, and so on. So we have actually a short-term bullish trend. Let's see if we can establish a medium-term bullish trend. Euro sterling dipped below the support at 87.25 there yesterday. Actually, it did dip down to that little spike down there. We can see 87.14 and the 100 moving average and the low part of cloud. What will it do here the next few days? Will it follow through? I think if it follows through here and takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then we could see it down to 86.55. Other than that, if it can crawl back above 87.50, then we could see it maybe re-establishing a bullish trend, or at least try to establish a bullish trend. Positive sentiment still on the RSI, got rejected there at 40 threshold. If it crawls back above the falling trend line, then it could be an indication it will bounce back there. Yen pairs, there's been some movements in the yen pairs, dollar yen here bouncing from the 38.2 retracement and crawling higher, and I think we will see it crawling higher here the next few days. Also on the medium term, given the fact that we still have bullish or positive sentiment, there's no divergence on the RSI, meaning there's no imbalance in the market. You can see the peak here is higher than here. It also follows the market. The peaks on the peak value on the RSI is they're rising, and that indicates we will see high levels on dollar yen. I think we will see it pushing higher here in the coming days towards the previous peak up here at just below 158. Euro yen also seems to be crawling higher, but it needs to take out 182, the peak there. So it's actually trading in this range between 182 and 179.50. Breakout is needed for direction. Also here we have positive sentiment with no divergence. You see the peak here is higher than here, and that supports higher levels on euro yen. I think it will take out the 182 here fairly shortly with a push higher. Aussie yen crawling higher also this morning. It's been had about a week of a very good pushy. Sorry about that. I had to mute because I had to cough. All right, Aussie yen crawling higher. It's broken this rising trend line, so I deleted it or removed it. And you can see here there's no strong resistance until the peaks up here around 109 and a bit. There will be corrections on the way, of course, but will we get there? It's debatable. But you can see RSI on the weekly, no divergence. It's pushing higher also on the daily. It's above the falling trend line. There's still a little bit of divergence on the peaks here. You can see on daily, but since we are pushing higher and the trend is your fence, so for now, well, it looks really strong move indeed. Of course, there will be some corrections, and we're just waiting for possibly a top and reversal pattern to do that. But for now, it looks very strong indeed. The sterling yen also higher after taking out the previous peak there, so building on the bullish trend. There is a bit divergence building up, but we're still in a positive sentiment. You will see the values are declining, so we are a little bit in exhaustion mode. However, there is room higher, and if we're looking at the weekly, we can see 208 and a bit. Well, that's where we are very close to at the moment, and I think we could possibly also take it out. On the Aussie dollar, hovering around these 66.30 area here, up and down, up and down, and we are in a bullish trend. I think we will push higher, positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating higher levels. And as long as we stay above, and let's just put that little line there, as long as we stay above the lows today, then it will be intact. If it takes it out, well, then we will have a correction going on, but the bullish trend is still intact. But we can say, okay, if it takes out the lows today, maybe we'll have correction down to around 65, 60 level here. The dollar Canada trying to bounce back after this massive sell-off there on the 5th. We are in a bearish trend, of course. Negative sentiment indicating likely lower levels, and we could see another push if it takes out the lows from yesterday. We could see a push down to 137.20 support area here. We are below the cloud, we're below the moving averages, and the 200 is pushing it lower. You can see the 200 declining there. Sterling Canada, very volatile. It's sometimes really hard to read with this volatility, and they also have a little bit bigger spread than most of the other pairs, but let's see. Yesterday opened lower, bounced, and trying to bounce further. It opened just below the 786 retracement of this trend up there. So what we can do now is like, okay, is that a bounce? What can it do here? We are in a little bit of a limbo, but slightly positive undertone, as we can see. But we are below all moving averages, and most of them are declining now, and we're below the cloud, so we could see a break lower. And I think if it takes out the lows here from yesterday, and RSI also below 40 threshold, it could push lower. But expect a little bit of a bounce, possibly up to 185 and a quarter. Euro Swiss reached the target I mentioned just below 94, 93, 95. You can see that's the peak up there. There is potential higher, positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, supporting higher levels on Euro Swiss, and we could see a push up to 94.17, 94.45, plus these peaks are around here from August. They are in the cards, moving average is turning around, and it is if it just takes out the peak from yesterday, I think we will see that a scenario play out. We have the dollar Swiss that spiked just above the 786 retracement yesterday. So what will it do? Well, it's in the bigger picture, it's been a bit sideways range trading. There is positive sentiment on the RSI, however, but if it needs to get back above 60 threshold and for a potential higher. But I think the upside potential is fairly limited to around 81.50, where we have the 200 moving average coming down. We can also see we have some strong resistance in this area here if it gets up to there. The 100 and the 55 moving averages are turning around here, and they're rising. And give it a couple of days, then I have the 55 breaking above the 100 moving average. That will further add to the bullish scenario. The dollar index is really trying to bounce, but you have the 200 that's trying to push it lower. RSI got rejected there at 40 threshold, so I think we will see it bouncing further, at least up to 99.34, maybe even up to 99.73 here within the next week or so, maybe. If it takes out 98.70, well, then there's support down there at 98.35. Gold can't really get its mojo back together or get some momentum here after breaking the falling trend line. I think it will do it eventually and push higher, but it really needs to take out that peak there at 42.64, 42.65 it is, and then I think we'll see it at 4,400, possibly higher. But it is not unusual when it breaks above a falling trend line that it tries to slide back to test it from the underside. But let's see about it. For now, there's a little bit of weakness here going on, but be careful. It can soon turn around, but I think we could see it setting back a little bit further. The silver looks a little bit toppish. As you can see, we have divergence here indicating uptrend exhaustion. So maybe we could have a bit of correction. 56.40, if it takes out that, then we could be looking at 54.5. But again, the trend is fairly strong, but we are having a little buy down here with the declining RSI, the strength indicator. I actually did expect it to test the $60, but it needs to take out, of course, the peak here from a few days ago, Friday, to do so. The platinum really just humming sideways, needs to get back above 1734. Not much to talk about. A little bit of correction going on in the copper, and I think I will adjust these a little bit. Just put them in there, the Fibonacci's there, and then add one to this uptrend there. Could see a little bit of setback to 527. We are still in a bullet trend. And I think it will eventually push higher towards 561, but a correction seems to be going on, which is not unusual. We do have correction from time to time. Could actually set it back a little bit further, maybe. We can also add a horizontal line here to these peaks here. See just around here, the 38.2 retracement 527. So that could be the support, and then it will bounce. But let's see, if it takes it out, well, then there's risk down to around 513. On the energy market, crude oil, let's resize that. Crude oil rejected there at the 61.8 retracement and the falling 55 moving average, resuming downtrend after a little bit of correction here. I think it will slide lower in the coming days. Negative sentiment on the RSI is still supporting lower crude oil prices here. The same with the Brent. And I think it will take out the lows here eventually at 61.60, pushing towards $60. The European nat gas still pushing lower, and we really have to go really far back to see these levels here, back here from last year in Q1, Q2, around, around 24, 22 euros. So looks fairly heavy there still. The US nat gas correction is going on after spiking higher, so let's see what's going on here. It spiked up to around $5.50, setting back. I think we could see it test the support here at 468, which is also around the 61.8 retracement. We have some support there, so we are still in a bullish trend. There's actually no divergence. This peak here is actually higher than here, so we could see a correction and then even higher levels on the nat gas. US nat gas could come into play here after this correction. The on the yields side, we have the US Treasury yields. US Treasury yields 420. I talked about it so many times. That is the key resistance, and we are just below it yesterday. Just around 419 and a bit, and that could be crucial for the yields in the US. You can see positive sentiment on the RSI closed above 60 threshold, so there is now risk higher 420, and then suddenly we are looking at 430, 440 maybe, 435 maybe even if it takes out 420. That is a key level to watch. On the European yields, we have the EU pushed higher Yesterday, a strong move above 280. It wasn't a strong resistance anyway. Now the risk up to around 290, 295 area. Positive sentiment indicating higher levels, and we are likely to see that in the next coming days. Again, it's not an advice. We could see some setbacks. UK yields also bounced higher now here yesterday, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it continuing today when the market opens in a bit, and it could push higher. And then we have 462. That is the next key resistance. Japanese stalling a little bit, still below 2%. However, I think we will reach it within a few days at the 2%. That is really a key resistance and key level for the Japanese yields. On the crypto side, can't really make up its mind. Bitcoin here, will it actually push higher? I mean, it established a bit of a bullish trend, highest than here, higher low than here and here. So it actually higher low, so it should push higher towards 98,000, but it is stalling a little bit. So I would be a little bit cautious, could slide back. So be careful if you're trading that. Seems to be some uncertainties about which way we are going. And our side still negative sentiment. There's no divergence. So if it moves back below 40 threshold, it could resume downtrend. Ethereum here, it needs to take out 3,245 for a push up to 3,600. Also here, negative sentiment on the RSI. It has established a bit of a counter trend there, bullish counter trend, but it's not really there yet to establish. I think it needs to take out that 32.45 there to really get some momentum higher. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day, and maybe there will be an update tomorrow. I can't promise, depending where I am in my traveling. So let's see what I can do. Otherwise, we'll speak again Thursday. Bye for now.